Right? As far as the indictment is concerned, it is very sketchy. The timing is very suspicious. It has come just before the eve of the parliamentary session. And this happens very often. It happened in the Hindenburg case, as you know. And it's an attempt. It clearly is an attempt, although it emanates from a court in the US. Right? Given the nature of the indictment, the sketchy evidence, and some very important circumstances, this seems to be a hatchet job, something which I have said in a tweet in the past. And it is obvious now that part of the democratic state apparatus, the deep democratic state, and I say that there are two deep states in America, the Republican state, deep state, and the Democratic deep state. The Democratic deep state has, for some reasons after 2023, turned extremely hostile towards the present government. Now, coming to the indictment itself, first of all, no offense is alleged in the indictment against any of the Adanis or Adani Greens. Please remember that the whole issue is about issuing of bonds in the US by Adani Greens. The alleged violation in the US is that bonds were issued without informing the bondholders, the investors, that there were violations in India. Now, if that is the substratum of the whole case, please note, the case is that you induced people in America to subscribe to these bonds without informing them that you were indulging in bribes to get contracts in India. Now, there is not a single piece of evidence in this indictment, nor has the Congress party, who today has again asked for an adjournment motion for discussion as to, given any evidence as to why any infractions of Indian law were concerned. Even the indictment of the US court does not talk about any bribery in India. It does not. It only says there was a conspiracy to bribe. There is no violation of the Foreign Corruption Prevention Act in India. Neither the Adanis nor even Adani Greens, which is the bond holder, which is the bond issuer, none of them have been cited as giving any bribes in India. So the case is only one that there was some intention, a conspiracy, a scheme to bribe Indian officials. But there is no evidence that it was carried out. It is not even suggested that it was carried out in India. So there is nothing to invest in India. And this adjournment motion and all this noise which the Congress party has made is completely misconceived. In India, there is no activity, even for the conspiracy alleged to have been taken place. Right? There is no evidence as to why they say there is a conspiracy. What is the evidence which proves that there was any conspiracy to bribe Indian officials to get these solar energy contracts? Kuch nahi hai. Nothing in the indictment. So, the Congress party is blindly relying on, an indictment against an Indian conglomerate which has done extremely useful business, undertaking useful businesses for India abroad, and it is trying to undermine them. It has succeeded in competition to get contracts for ports, etc., against many enemy countries of India. This is not in India's interest, and to blindly follow a US court indictment which gives no evidence and does not suggest that any of the Adanis or the company which issued the bonds, Adani Greens, have done any wrong in India. There is no, again I repeat, no case of any bribery in India in that indictment. Congress is reading too much into this indictment, and they are doing it for purely political purposes, and they have been aided, as is revealed by the timing of this leak, this indictment, by the Democratic deep state. Now, this is a judicial order passed on indictment, but I regret to say that I don't know what evidence the judge who issued this indictment has acted upon. देखिए, ये तो इंडिया's growth story को रोकने के लिए एक साजिश है, उसमें कोई शक नहीं है. ये इसका जो टाइमिंग है, और आप देखते हैं कि जैसे भी ये न्यूज आता है अदानी के खिलाफ, हिंडनबर्ग द्वारा, अब ये इंडाइटमेंट द्वारा, हमेशा उसके बाद थोड़े टाइम के लिए अदानी ग्रुप का लॉस होता ही है. अब तो $2.4 बिलियन का लॉस जाहिर है. Isn't it manifest that you are repeatedly going after one corporate group, trying to embarrass the Prime Minister by saying that he is closely aligned? He is an industrialist who has executed many projects very successfully, both in India and abroad, in infrastructure, of which we should be proud of. Now, don't rush to condemn him blindly following a US indictment. You are behaving like the local agents of a foreign power that has an interest in stopping India's economic growth and undermining economic economic policies, our growth story, and our stock markets. And you indirectly affect the retail investors. Unless the Congress party puts out in the public domain credible evidence that there has been some wrongdoing in India, there is no need for any inquiry either by any authority in India or for a JPC. You please put out the evidence. You can't blindly follow without application of mind. You only want to create some kind of noise and disrupt Parliament. This disruption of Parliament on such, it's not even flimsy evidence. It's non-evidence. There is no evidence. This is completely unwarranted.